Welcome to U2 Spain Live. This week I'll be joined by Rory Halloran from Smart Currency Exchange to answer your questions about Spain's currency secrets and how to fix your euro rate. We'll tell you more about that in a moment. This show is perfect for expats like you. And yes, don't object to the word expats. We're all immigrants, I keep saying, but I can't help using that word because the algorithm loves it. You'll find out more about that as well. And we'll find out why exchange rates fluctuate so much by the hour and how to choose the best company to help you so that you know how much cash you'll have when you arrive in Spain, when you either move or go to buy a property here. So join us with questions and comments on the live chat or in the comments below if you're watching back afterwards, because you are a part of this too. That's what this channel is all about, and you are very welcome to U2 Spain. Let's boogie on to the theme tune. Here it comes. That is groovy. And speaking of groovy, let's welcome my expert guest today. It's Rory Halloran from Smart Currency Exchange. Good morning, Rory. There you are.
Hi, morning, Expats. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. The sun is shining again, once again on the south coast of Spain. We've had lots of rain recently. You're not in Spain though, are you? We've got you up early in England.
Yes. Yeah, you got me out of bed an hour earlier. I'm over in London, but yeah, we've got some nice bit of sunshine. It's very cold, but no, it's a fresh morning, I'd say.
Excellent. Well, it's great to have you with us. And let's just say a quick hello to people joining us on the live chat before you introduce yourself. And Nigel Maguire Duran says, Hola, Scats, ¿qué tal? Muy bien, you too. And Paul Cook says, good morning, Scats and Rory. There we go. You've been calling me Andrew, haven't you? That's my real name, Rory. But you can call me Scats as well. You can call me Andrew if you want. Some people, not a lot of people on this channel know my real name, but there you go. And so lots of people will be joining us. 666 Customs. Oh, are you a customs officer? That'll be interesting to hear from you. We should have you on the show if that's true. And yeah, you're saying morning, Scats. Don't know if you're a he or a she or anything else. And anybody else who's not put a message down on the live chat, then do that. Give us a wave or a quick hello and let us know who you are and where you are and how you are today. And we will have, while we're waiting for everybody, an introduction from yourself, Rory. Tell us about you and what you do.
Yeah, brilliant morning all. Yeah, as Scats there said, my name's Rory Halloran. I'm here today representing Smart Currency Exchange. I work as one of the account managers on the trading team. Essentially, I've been at Smart for just over 3 years now. So a bit of background about Smart. We are a foreign exchange specialist focusing primarily on the property market, so assisting clients buying, selling properties generally overseas. And we've been in the industry now for over 20 years, and in that time helped over 45,000 clients in a very similar situation to yourself, transferring money internationally to successfully buy and sell those properties. Our primary aim is to try and keep clients' buying costs low with a sensible budget, and that's all done through effective currency risk management. As we'll talk about later on, the currency markets are a volatile place. If you've been watching them over the last few months, you may have noticed a huge change in property values. So our job is to work with you and make sure that the timing of your transaction is at the best time for yourself. And my role specifically will be on the phones with clients, talking through their plans with more detail, introducing a bit more about the different services we offer and which might be best for you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And by the way, anyone, if you want to get in touch with Rory for extra free advice after the show, then there's a link in the video description and I'll pin it to the top of the comments as well after the show has finished. And yes, you can start a free account and we'll tell you all about later on how to do that and the advantage of starting it early. So I was just remembering that before I actually spoke to you, Rory, we've had several of your colleagues on the show before, and it was Jack Wiggs, I think was the last one. He was my
Yeah.
he was my account manager for quite a number of years, and from when I moved, yes, from when I moved over here. So back in 2019, I think was when I set up
Well,
the
yeah.
account, and that was great. So yeah, I've been in touch quite a lot, and I was expecting. I was I was saying to somebody at Smart, and when they said your name, Rory Haller, and I was thinking, oh, we're going to have an Irishman on, and then I heard your voice and was shocked. But you're not first generation, are you?
I'm not, no.
No, yeah. There you go. Still, there you go. Excellent. So, oh, and hello, 666 Customs has said, no, not a customs officer, a social media podcaster in the custom motorcycle scene. Now I'm even more interested in talking to you. So, yeah, stay in touch. Send me an email to u2smile@gmail.com or info@u2spain.com. There's a few different email addresses you can contact me on. And yeah, leave me a link. I don't think you can leave links on the live chat. I think I can, but I don't think anybody else can. So email would be a better way of doing that. And then I can sign up and subscribe to your channel as well. That would be lovely. And Anton Cares, A and K, say, hola, Scats and Rory. Lovely to email with you this morning, Ant. That was lovely. And Matt David is here. Good morning, chaps. Lovely. So I think we've got a good 17 with us to start with. So let's get into it straight away. Let's talk about exchange rates. And they can make quite a difference to people moving to Spain, buying a house, because the rates can fluctuate, like you said, quite a bit from minute to minute, making the euros that you end up with in your bank account more or less than you've budgeted for. So let's understand first, why does that happen? We're going to talk a bit of economics, I suppose. Tell us some of the many factors that influence the rates, both in the short and the long
Yeah,
term.
no, absolutely. Yeah, as I said at the start, it's a complete minefield out there when it comes to exchange rates, and probably most people can appreciate. The main reason exchange rates move is generally due to political and economic factors, and we have very little control over those. So what I mean by political factors would be political instability. So a lot of foreign investors, when they're looking for places to invest, they want to seek out stable countries, strong economic performance, which is why they generally invest their capital there, which is normally why we'd probably see the pound or the dollar perform relatively well versus other currencies and countries. A country with positive attributes that would draw investment and funds away from countries perceived to have more political or economic risk. Therefore, the stability of that is key to a country like Spain for attracting investment, which then in turn can influence the exchange rate. Another big political factor, again, would be elections and the likes of that, with campaigns and which government's going to come into power. We saw obviously Labour take over last year from the Conservatives, who have been in such charge for such a long time. And that was perceived to be quite a good thing. We saw the pound react quite well to that. Recently, there's a bit more pressure with Keir Starmer, so we're not too sure what impact might happen in the sort of medium to longer term with that. He might be sort of coming back on some of the policies he said he was going to be doing. So that's something to keep an eye on going forwards. And again, on the Europe side, we've had French elections, which went down to the wire with sort of the right wing, similar to Germany, with the right wing parties having more sort of influence. That leads to more instability. And on the back of that, the euro tended to weaken, so lost value, which again is a good thing for people with pounds, but not a good thing if you've got euros. So they're some of the main political factors that could have big impact on exchange rates. And then economic factors, a little bit easier for us to see and have a little bit more control of almost. So what I mean by economic factors, that would be stuff like inflation, interest rates, any sort of data announcements, job data, GDP, which came out yesterday in the UK. All this data gets released. Generally speaking, we know what's going to be released ahead of time. Gone are the days where you wake up and its interest rates have gone up by 0.5%, lost by down by 0.5%. It's very much now released a couple of weeks ahead of time, and almost gets priced into the market, is what we say, because the market reacts once they hear the news on the day, we might not see too much movement when the data comes out. So, for example, next Thursday, we've got the Bank of England doing an interest rate decision. So we already know that it's expected to be a 0.25% decrease on the interest rates. So that's essentially been priced into the markets. When that gets released on Thursday, we sort of know what's going to happen already. Again, just on interest rate, generally speaking, the higher the interest rate in a country, the greater the value of the currency. The basic economic behind it is higher interest rates essentially leads to more investment because investors are getting better return on their pound, for example. So generally speaking, the currency would move with that. It's not 100% accurate, unfortunately, but that's the sort of basic economics behind it. And then again, on inflation, if a country with lower inflation, it generally sees appreciation in the value of the currency as well. The price of goods and services increasing at a slower rate. So that country can consistently exhibit a rise in currency value as their purchasing power increases relative to other countries. So there's a lot going on. There's sort of three of the main factors that could influence it, but there's so much going on globally, internationally.
Yeah.
Trump, I'm not going to go into too much detail on him, but
Tariffs. That's the word, isn't it? Yeah,
tariffs.
it's
Trump's
caused a
tariffs.
lot of short-term instability at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. For the dollar, it's a tough time for people with dollars, but a lot to go on, and a lot that we can help you with the risk side of things for sure.
Yeah. Ant has got, or is it Kes, has got a very good question at the bottom there, saying if you open an account with Smart, where is the account domiciled? Yeah, where are you based? I mean, you're kind of based in the UK, but that doesn't mean that you can't have the sort of Euro account. Oh, yeah, you tell us. I can't explain it.
No, of course. Yes, we're based in the UK, so our head offices, we've got a couple of offices over in Spain. How the sort of currency account works is you'd register online. It's completely free to have an account with ourselves. There's no obligation to use that account. So if your plans change for whatever reason, you can cancel the account, no cost to yourself. We, based on the example, if I'm assuming you've got pounds, you're buying euros. So
They're actually in France.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they've got pounds buying euros or need to buy euros, that's absolutely fine. We hold your euros in a client account in Germany. That's where our client account is situated. So the euros would simply sit in that client account for you, and you could then transfer that out to your French bank account directly, like a notaire in France, or to a solicitor, someone like that. So the currency account, the euro would be held in Germany, and the pounds are held in the UK if you're sending us pounds.
Great stuff. That answers your question. I think it does. Roger Burke says, good morning. Just used Smart for the first time. Transferred money to Cambodia. Looking forward to using them when we move to Spain later this year. Jolly good. Hope you signed up through us, through the link. That's the word down below. And 666 says, follow your channel closely with hopes of building my online business to then get my digital nomad visa to move back to Spain. Yes, it's a good time to be doing that. Great. So, does sound like a bit of a minefield out there in the battle of the currencies with short-term and long-term things going on. But so I guess that must make it not only difficult for account managers like yourself to know what rate to set at any particular moment, but for people shopping around for the right company to go with, that must make a fair comparison impossible. So, for example, if you're phoning up a load of companies to say, right, what rate can you give me today? It could take you hours. It could take you the whole morning to speak to everybody, and the whole currency landscape can change in minutes or in hours. So the big question is, how do you choose who to go with, and do they have all the same services and fees and choices?
Yeah, it's a question I get asked all the time with clients who are sort of trying to open an account or setting up an account. Why should I use you? What's different between you and another currency company? The way I sort of recommend or explain to clients is when you're doing a large overseas purchase, which is generally what we're helping clients with. Most clients I speak to want someone at the other end of the phone. Obviously, we're in a day of ever-changing technology where everything's moving online. You've got banks closing down. It's all done on apps and stuff like that. With ourselves, we are always on the phone. So we're always there as a human at the other end of the call, assisting you with your plans. We specialize and focus on you personally. So every client I speak to has got a different plan. Some people are selling a property to move overseas. Some people are getting an inheritance. Some people it's their savings. We will put together a structured, tailored currency plan for you, depending on what your situation is. So the way I'd look at it when you're looking around for the best company is making sure you've got the right person to speak with. There are other ways you can do it now with online only places and stuff like that, but it's very limited to what you're doing. It's very sort of transactional, essentially. You've got no one to speak with or guide you through the process. And then what you mentioned there about the sort of comparison side of things, obviously completely understand everybody wants to get the best rate. And a lot of people think, oh, the best way for me to do that is call 4 or 5 companies on any given day to get an exchange rate. Now, yeah, that could work for you, and you might save, you know, £100, £200 in that time. The two main risks with that, as Scats mentioned, between, you know, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of calling around multiple companies, the market could have moved 1%, 2%. Now, if you're spending, let's say, £200,000, in theory, your costs could have fluctuated by £2,000 in a very short period of time. So, like I said, you might save 100, 200 quid on the day, but in theory, over that hour or two, you could have lost quite significantly. And secondly, the timing. A lot of clients I speak to don't really know what a good exchange rate looks like. We do. We watch exchange rates all the time, and we can sort of give you an idea of what that looks like in terms of the last year, the last 5 years. So you could call around a company on the best day in 5 years. Fantastic. You're getting a very good exchange rate. But on the same turn, you could call around on the worst day of the year, for example. You know, you've got a good deal on that day, but you know you still could have lost a significant amount of money because you've timed it completely wrong because you're at the bottom of the market. So that's what we're here to help with, provide that value, provide that guidance, and just make sure you're getting the sort of best product and service for yourself.
Excellent. Hans and Kez are asking, how long can you keep funds in your smart currency account? That's a good question, isn't it?
It's a good question. So we, in theory, can hold funds for as long as you need us to. We're not a bank, we are a currency exchange provider. We can hold funds in our client holding account as long as you are doing something with them. So if your currency requirement needs to still be there. So if you're buying a property and completion's been delayed by 3 months, not a problem. We can hold the funds for that 3 months and then send them out at a later date. We can't just sort of hold the funds indefinitely just because you want us to. Essentially, it needs to always have some sort of reason behind us holding them, but we can hold them essentially.
There we go. Roger Burke says, I used your link. Thank you so much, Roger. That's brilliant. And it is a win-win-win with the cherry on top, as I always say, because that doesn't actually cost you a penny. Doesn't cost you any more. You still get the same rate and everything like that to use that link. So there you go. And before we continue, you may have noticed there is a QR code up in the corner. Sometimes I put the GoFundMe one there. We've got 2 different ways of supporting U2 Spain, but this morning I've got the buymeacoffee.com one up there. So if you want to say thank you for getting some information off the channel or just being entertained and smiled at by me and by Rory, of course, and then just pop us the price of a cup of coffee or 3 in there, and that'll be lovely. I'm also going to put up just for a moment the where's it gone, the QR code for, that's the GoFundMe one at the bottom of the screen. So if you feel like doing that one, that's actually got loads of information about U2 Spain and Still Alive and everything that the channel stands for. So if you want a little read, then I'll pop that one there. And for anybody watching back afterwards, this is 19.5 minutes into the video. That's when you can look at that one. But otherwise, use the Buy Me a Coffee. That'll be lovely. And don't forget to hit the like button while you're on at the moment and subscribe. And yeah, that's good. Let's get back to the chat, see if we've got any more questions. We've had, 666 says, I used to work in Gibraltar and I had to exchange my wages weekly. What are the main factors as to why the exchange rates change so quickly? Oh, we've talked about that, haven't we? It's usually the sort of political changes, isn't it? The quick things.
Yeah, a lot of it's the sort of uncertainty. So exchange rates and markets don't like uncertainty. So when something happens that is a bit of a shock or wasn't expected. For example, 2 weeks ago, Germany came out and pledged £500 million to try and bolster their economy, investing into their defence and stuff like that. That had a significant impact. So from Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we saw about 1.5% movement in favour of the euro against the pound. So anything like that, which the market's got no idea that's going to happen because it's just an announcement from the German government, that can just cause exchange rates to move extremely quickly. So there's a few ways round to try and manage that in terms of the risk associated. So in terms of doing something weekly, obviously on a weekly basis, your exchange rate is going to change each time. So we, again, which we'll probably explain a bit more in detail later, but the option to sort of fix an exchange rate for a period of time. So if you know exactly sort of how much you're getting on a weekly basis from your wages, you could fix that rate for a month. So for 4 weeks, you know exactly how much you're getting back, or even for a longer period. So it just gives you a much better idea of exactly how many, or how much currency you're getting back for your wages over a longer period of time, rather than sort of taking it on a week by week basis where the fluctuations can be quite significant.
Yeah, and you can do the same with pension, can't you, as well as wages?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Any form of longer term payment. So, like I said, we specialise with the larger transfer, but then we help thousands of clients move longer term for like living costs, pensions, anything like that, where you can fix exchange rates or do like a regular payment on a monthly basis as well. So, a lot of different services that we cover as well, which I'm sure we'll go into much more detail on throughout the session.
Yeah, absolutely. I just did one actually in the last month, sending money for national insurance contributions back to the UK, and it was just a one-off payment really, because I don't know, they seem to have changed the amount, because otherwise I could have done, if it's a regular amount every year, then it would have made it a lot easier, and could have fixed a good rate with that. But because it was just a single payment, it's not so easy to for you to give the same rate as when you're doing it as a regular payment over a longer period, is it? So,
yeah, absolutely.
There you go. And Ant says 20 viewers and 7 thumbs up. If you think there's been useful support from this channel, give it a thumbs up. Yes, lovely. I see 23 now. At any one time, there's a good 20. That's good to see. There's usually more than that over the course of the program anyway. So if you've just joined and you've missed the start of the show, then by all means you can scroll back later on. I will be putting time codes and chapter headings in after the show's ended. I can't do it during the show, and hopefully they'll be there by midday-ish today, so you can look back at the video and scroll around and get the answers to your questions. So there we go. Let's talk about planning ahead. Oh, somebody scanned the QR code. That's lovely. I love it when one of those little sparkly things comes up on the screen. Yes, so planning ahead. Why is it important? I know it's important to do this early on in the moving process or in the buying process of a house. Why is it important then to get an account set up and do the planning early? And when is a good time to be doing that? How far in advance, basically?
Yeah, sure. The reason we advocate for sort of setting an account up quite early along the process, there's no harm in having an account. All you're doing is gaining more information. Obviously, when you're moving overseas, there's so much to consider. So you need to work out the property, the area, the cost, taxes, visas. Now, obviously, especially if you're moving from the UK, with the change in the European Union rules, there's so much to consider. So planning your currency, a lot of people think that the only option they've got is waiting to the day and just going into their high street bank and be like, right, I need this euros. How much is it going to cost me? We're here to help from very early stage. So the calls with account managers like myself, initially it's very much like a qualification and an education kind of call. So we'll talk to you, you'll tell us about your plans, sort of timescales, amounts, where your funding is coming from. We'll then run you through some of the different options that we offer, and you can then make a decision which is best for you. We normally recommend setting accounts up between sort of 6 to 12 months ahead of your plans, or hopefully before your sort of first viewing trip. Reason why that is the case with Spain, it can be quite a quick turnaround and a quick process. When you're over in Spain buying a property, if you see something you love and put an offer in on that property in Spain, that gets accepted. Generally speaking, you'll need to pay a reservation deposit pretty quickly. Sometimes when you're in the agency, they'll be waving a card machine in your face saying, right, 3,000 now. So we can already prepare you for that before you go on your trip. So we can buy that amount for you ahead of time, and that's ready to go. Once you have that offer accepted, you can then just provide the IBAN details for the agent, and then we can send those euros directly there. So the sooner the better, really. As I said at the start, there's no harm in having an account. All you're doing is gaining knowledge and a better understanding of the risks associated with it. A good way to look at
So
it
there's
is
no obligation in starting
exactly that. Like I said, yeah, no obligation to use the account going forwards. So if your plans were to change, cancelled for whatever reason, not an issue. We just close the account on our side.
Great stuff. And one of the other benefits you were just talking about is the amount of the deposit that you would normally have to pay with the currency exchange company. You've got a little bit more leeway on that.
Yeah, so that's the forward contract tool. So just to sort of explain that, the forward contract allows you to fix an exchange rate for a period of time. So it's super useful for purchasing and even longer term for like living costs and stuff like that. So let's say you have your offer accepted for 200,000 euros and your completion's in June, so sort of 3 months from now. We can fix the exchange rate for 3 months. So we buy all the euros you require, fixing that exchange rate, and that then gives you an exact cost in pounds. At that point in time, all that's required is to pay a 5% deposit. So again, for super easy numbers, if you're doing £100,000, you pay £5,000 now, and the other 95,000 would then be due around June time. A lot of the other companies out there, or industry standard, can be about 10% for a deposit. So we're a lot more flexible with that, just because we know when you're moving such large amounts of money, it can be difficult to get funds together. So 5% is the minimum for ourselves, and we can even sometimes be a bit more flexible with that if you've got a house sale going through or not quite got enough. We try and work as best as possible to ensure your risk is fully covered with ourselves. So there's a bit of a workaround also.
Yeah, that is very handy when you, especially if you're selling a property in advance in the UK or any other country, and then buying one in Spain, and you've got all kinds of changes that can happen to the timeline there. And yeah, so that's very handy. El Davido is asking a question that we actually touched on earlier. Sometimes when I've contacted 2 or more companies to move money, I get offered slightly different rates. I suppose the question is why.
Yeah, so everyone's buying from the exact same place, in all honesty. So all the currency exchange companies are buying off the big major banks. So we're all getting the exact same price for what we're paying, essentially. A couple of reasons why the exchange rates can be different. So as I mentioned, exchange rates are moving by the second. They're not stagnated for a whole day. So you could call one company, be on the phone for them for 5 or 10 minutes. By the time you've called the next company, the rate could have changed. So they could offer you a better rate because the market might have moved in your favor. They might then be offering you a lower rate because the market's moved against you. It's so difficult to get sort of exact comparisons between different brokers on a day. And another reason can be, it's a bit cheeky, but some companies that you will call, they will essentially quote you a rate that's either unachievable or very close to what we call the market rate. Essentially, it's a marketing tool, as you can imagine. So they say that, you go, great, I'll call somebody else. They're automatically going to give you a lower exchange rate because it's lower than the market. And then you call back that first company and they say, oh, the market's actually moved now. We're actually come down a little bit. But then it might be offering a slightly better rate. So there's different sort of tools that companies will use. With ourselves, we're super transparent with our pricing. It's all built into the rate we provide. We're never going to say you're going to get this and then you call us back and it's changed by several hundreds of pounds, because it's not the way that we work with our clients. So that's probably why you've got sort of different rates there, Davido.
Yeah, good. And of course, there are different ways of the currencies. There are the banks, and there are you mentioned I think it's kind of like payment cards, isn't it? People who've got online accounts that do exchange. What are the differences between those?
So I'll start with the banks. Banks are sort of quite a common way for people to do currency exchange, just because they think it's maybe the only way. The banks are super transactional. So the only option you've got with your bank is to go in on the day or the week ahead of your completion, say, right, I need these euros, how much is it going to cost me? And they'll do the transfer for you. They'll generally charge you a fee for that pleasure. And the exchange rate they provide is generally super expensive. The sort of third reason is your banks are closing down. Most people on this call probably don't have a high street bank on their high street anymore, so it's quite difficult to get through to them even on the phones these days. So that's the main reasons we advocate for avoiding the banks. So the exchange rates we provide are generally a lot more competitive. The options we provide are significantly better. Currency exchange is what we do day in, day out. Your bank are managing so many different products, mortgages, loans, overdrafts, etc. That's what they specialize in. Currency isn't what they specialize in. That's where we're here to help and benefit. And as I mentioned, we offer the tool to lock an exchange rate in. We're here to give guidance and sort of updates on the market and how things are going with that. So a lot more about a tailored service for yourself. And then online banks and sort of online service providers, they can be very good, I find, for the small amounts. They're generally really low cost and quite efficient. So they can be good for that. I'm not going to deny that at all. The issue a lot of my clients find is larger amounts. Obviously, larger amounts of money generally comes with more sort of money laundering requirements, so compliance checks, documentation. You're speaking to me. If I need a property purchase agreement, a sale agreement, I'd call you. You can email that to me. I can provide that to our compliance team. If you've got a payment sending through an online bank or an online app, and that gets held up for any reason, you've got probably very limited visibility of that. You're trying to call someone, you're on a chat with an AI robot asking, is that all I can help you with today? They're not very useful to begin to contact with and assist you with the actual whole payment process. So that's again a main reason why I'd advocate using a service like ourselves, just because of the human touch you've got. We're here to help with every step of the actual process.
And you do hear stories. You hear stories about everything on on social media, but of being refused putting a large payment through, or being charged extra for bank charges at the end when you're transferring it through into a bank account. But you've got better service than that. How do you avoid you manage to avoid being charged by Spanish banks when money is transferred there?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, as I mentioned earlier in the call about where we hold funds, so all our euros that we transfer into Spain will be sent via Germany. So we open that account sort of post Brexit to get around sort of fees and charges that the Spanish banks were applying to our clients. So we send it from Germany and Spain within the European Union. So the majority of our payments are sent by SEPA or SEPA, depending on how people pronounce it, which essentially is part of the single euro payments area. So that means there's no fees or charges applied for us sending money to Spain and for the Spanish bank receiving that on the other end.
Mm-hmm. So you can transfer the money anywhere, and you can transfer it to a bank or transfer it to a property lawyer if if you're buying a house and the money needs to go into their account, or anywhere the client wants it, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly that. So again, when you're buying a property in Spain, you're probably not going to have a bank account open. I think there is an option for like a non-residence account type of thing, but yeah, Scouts might share some more information on that not being the best option. So when you're buying a property, initially your deposit payment is probably going to go to an agent, so we can send it direct to them. Your second deposit might go to a solicitor, who will then have like power of attorney to help open up a Spanish bank for you. And then your balance payment, sometimes it goes into our client's Spanish account, sometimes straight to the solicitor. So we can send the money to wherever you want us to, just provide the IBAN and the account name, and we can do the necessary steps and press the buttons on our side.
Yes, absolutely. My advice on that, straight from a property lawyer, is do it all through the lawyer, especially when you're talking about deposits to agents and things like that, because they'll know whether the contract is sound or not. They'll be able to advise you on that. So, yeah. So, good question. How easy is it to get through to it? You talked about it's you can get through to you on the phone all the time. How easy is that, and how many hours in the day are you there?
Yeah, good question. So we do call work now is at 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. UK time. But even around that, we can be flexible with our clients. We could do sort of evening calls later in the day if needed, even earlier morning calls. We've got clients based all over the world in East Asia, for example. So we'll be calling them very early in the UK side of things because it's later on in the day their side. In terms of getting through to us, once you set up an account, you can do that online. We also do have an onboarding team, so you can speak with someone directly who can assist you with the account opening. you'll be assigned an account manager like myself. We'll have an introduction call. We'll send you a welcome pack via email and via post. So you'll get a business card, you'll get all my details via email as well. So we've got direct lines. So at any point in time, if you've got any questions, you can call me directly. Generally speaking, I'll be there to answer the phone. Obviously, I'm dealing with hundreds of clients a week, so I might be on the phone at the time. Not a problem. The call can bounce to a colleague who can assist you, I'm sure, or you can get a very quick call back as well. So we're here to help. You won't be on hold with ourselves for 30 to 40 minutes like you are with banks. There'll always be someone there to answer the call. And like I said, if they can't assist you themselves, they'll get an immediate call back for when I'm available or your specific account manager is available. And just on that, if you are getting yourself set up with us today, you can request for me to be your account manager directly. So I can actually be the ones directly helping you or yourself.
Yes, get somebody experienced like you.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. And question from 666. When I moved back, and if my clients pay me into, so he's in the UK at the moment, if my clients pay me into my business account in pounds, no, so this is if you move to Spain. If my clients pay me into my business account in pounds, would I need to use your services to get euros to spend on a weekly basis? There'd be a few different options there, I guess, wouldn't there?
Yeah, so if your client paying you in pounds in the UK, then obviously we can help you with that transfer. It depends how you want to manage it yourself. If you want to do a weekly transfer, you can do that on an ad hoc basis. I'm not sure when you get those funds, but if you're saying every Friday, or I need to move, £100, £200, we can help you with that on an ad hoc basis. We can, like I said, fix the exchange rate for a month. So if you've got an idea that you're going to get £1,000 or £2,000 on a monthly basis, we can set up like a regular payment plan. So you will set up a standing order to us. We would automatically convert your pounds on the day they arrive with us, just onward forward that to your euro bank account. So it's a very straightforward, automated process. You don't need to sort of worry about doing it yourself. And then you can even do the forward contract tool as well. So you could fix an exchange rate for a year, 6 months, buying up a pot of euros with ourselves. And then each week or month, you just sort of pay into that. And essentially, you're just drawing down from those euros. So the euros we've got, we'll then just sort of drip feed them across into your Spanish bank account that way. So a few different ways that you can manage it. Just very much depend on yourself and how often you need the euros or want them in your account.
Yeah, and how much kind of regular payments. I know as somebody who's self-employed, some months I can have, some thousands going in, and some months it's just a few hundreds. So that's the only difficulty with that, with getting a regular payment, isn't it? Of knowing how to set up what's the regular payment going to be.
Yeah, the regular payment again, it can be quite flexible, so it's cancel at any point. So if if 1 month you're like, oh, I'm not going to make the £1,000 this month, we can just cancel it and set it up again in the future. And if you're getting more than expected, you can just do an ad hoc transfer on the day to convert more on the time as well. So super flexible. We can be very manage it as best as you need us to. So that's not a problem at all.
Brilliant. 666 says, great, thank you. You're very welcome.
No worries.
So let's go into the process of setting up an account. What happens when if you click on the link below, you go through to, and it says setting up an account with Smart. What's the process? Because there's presumably some paperwork that you've got to sign and send, and documentation to show who you are and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like any sort of account that you set up with any company, we'll need obviously full details of yourself, so name, email address, dates of birth, address, stuff like that. Because we are a payment service, we are fully authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority. So one of very few number of companies to have full authorisation by them. So what that means, we need to do quite thorough money laundering checks, obviously, to make sure we are dealing with someone who they say they are. It depends on where you're based. So for UK clients, because we're a UK registered company, we would take your details, run them through the electoral roll, which essentially matches your name, date of birth, and to your address. So if that all matches up, you'll immediately go through the sort of verification process. Your account will be opened, and then you'll be automatically assigned with an account manager. If you're based overseas, you can open an account with us, not a problem at all. just generally speaking, we'll need like documentation. So it's normally like a proof of ID, so like a picture of your passport, and then proof of address, so bank statement, utility bill, something like that, just for the bank verification check. Once you've been assigned an account manager, there is the option to select a day and time for you to arrange an introduction call. So when you open the account, you can pick Wednesday at 2 o'clock, if that's the perfect time for you. If you don't do that, it's not a problem at all. Your account manager will be proactive. So generally give you a call, drop you an email to try and arrange a call if you're not able to take their first call. And that introduction call is very much, like I said, to qualify your plans, to work out what you're doing, timescales, funding, how much you're looking to spend, where you're looking to buy, you're looking to fully relocate, is it just a holiday home, what your future transactions look like. So that first call is very much you to inform us and for us to educate you about the plans and which options might be best depending on how you're funding it and what type of property you're buying. Obviously, it's not just ready to go properties. We help clients building or buying off-plan properties as well, where there's longer term requirements and stuff like that. And that's it. Once the account's open, you'll then deal with that set account manager for all the time going forwards.
And is there a particular process that you go through when actually organising the exchange, doing the deal, if you like? What happens during that? What can people expect?
Yeah, good question again. So generally speaking, we all arrange all our currency transactions over the phone. So we'd like to do everything verbally just to make sure you as the client are happy and you understand exactly what we're doing for you. Super straightforward process. You would let me know what you're doing. So you want to buy 100,000 euros, let's say. I provide you an exchange rate on that amount. That then obviously gives a cost in pounds. Once you're happy with that, we then buy the euros immediately. So we're buying it off the live market at that point in time. And then we enter into what we call a verbal, legally binding contract. So with currency exchange, because we're buying off the live market and the live market can move very quickly, it's all done verbally. So everything's done on a verbal agreement. Once that agreement's taken place, you'll then receive an email confirmation of what's been agreed. There's nothing for you to sort of sign or read through and write back to because the market moves too quickly for that. So it's all done on that call and only processed once you're happy. And then that's it. Once we've done that, you then make payment of the required currency to ourselves. And we always give at least 3 working days to do that because of bank limits and stuff like that. But again, give flexibility with that. And then the final step for you guys to provide is the Spanish bank details. So solicitor, your own account, estate agent, whoever needs paying, you'll simply fill out what we call a beneficiary form through a secure link and provide all those details. As soon as your pound's clear, euros are sent out. We'll send you a payment receipt. And euros are generally there same day, if not next working day.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Any other advice on what to be prepared for when in currency exchange?
I would always be sort of prepared probably for the worst case scenario. A lot of clients I speak to, it's sort of how the human mind works. Everybody's sort of trying to achieve a better rate. I speak to a lot of clients when the rates are doing really well. Oh, is it going to go up more? Is it going to go up more? The budget is the most important thing when it comes to buying a property overseas. It's not how good the exchange rate is perceived to be. If you're buying a property in the UK, for example, once your offer is accepted, you wouldn't wait to the day to find out exactly how much you need to pay. You know that 3, 4, 5, 6 months ahead of time. You wouldn't turn up on the day and be like, oh, it's going to cost me an extra £5,000. Like, all right, great, yeah, no worries. That's the thing. When you're buying overseas, your euro figure never going to change once you've had your offer accepted. But until you sort out your pounds or your currency on the other side, that's constantly going up with the market. So that's something just to always be thinking about. If you're within your budget and it's affordable for you, then your best option probably to be looking at locking that rate in, takes out any sort of further risk and gives you peace of mind. Obviously, everybody wants the best exchange rate. We want our clients to have a very good exchange rate, which obviously brings their costs down. But the last thing you want to do is be in a position where, for example, 2 weeks ago, you're getting a fantastic exchange rate. 2 weeks later, the market's down 2%. Your cost has gone up 2, 3, 4, £5,000, depending on how much you're moving. And then you're in a position where it's like, oh no, like, do I wait? Do I do it? What do I do now? So yeah, it's just always err on the side of caution. Think worst case scenario, and if it's in your budget, then yeah, look to lock that rate in just because of the peace of mind it will bring.
Yeah, and you can't actually look into a crystal ball at that particular time and say to the client, yes, do it now, because that's that's not your job. Your job is to make sure that it's done properly when it's done, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I did have a crystal ball. I'd be probably on the lovely beach out in Barbados if I did, but I
Yeah.
don't, and nobody does. Unfortunately, it's a minefield out there. We could think, the pound's doing really well, it's doing really well. And then all of a sudden, like I said, Germany do something which then loses a lot of value in the pound. Nobody's got that crystal ball. We're here to try and help you make an educated, informed decision, and make sure that you can afford your dream property. It's a lot of people's life savings or they're fully relocating. So you're spending a lot of money and making sure that it's done safely, securely, and yeah, like I said, within your budget.
Talking about safely, we've not mentioned I know that a lot of companies, the deal is that if they go bust, there's only a guarantee of, what is it, 85,000 in terms of what how much of your money is safe. Is that pounds or euros? I don't know. You tell us. And is that the same with you?
Yeah, so a lot of companies out there are similar to the banks. There's the FSCS regulations essentially, which give protection up to £85,000. I think the euro equivalent is about 95 or 100,000 euros. So that means that if that company went bust, you've only got £85,000 protected essentially. With ourselves, all our client accounts are held in segregated accounts with Barclays. So we can't use client funds for what we call operating costs. We've got our own operating account for that. So that means if anything was to happen to us as a business, which touch wood it won't, we've been around for over 20 years now, then all your funds are fully protected. So they essentially would be returned back to source, so back to the account they came from. And yeah, like I said, we're fully authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority. And on top of that, we work exclusively with big companies like Rightmove, I'm sure many people are familiar with, and Zoopla, looking at properties on their website. So all the clients that are looking on Rightmove get recommended and referred to ourselves for the currency exchange. You can imagine the amount of due diligence that Rightmove have done into a company like ourselves, with their reputations on the line if we're some random company. So on that side of things, security is paramount. Yeah, one of the most important factors with ourselves for sure.
And is that unique to Smart, or any other companies doing that?
Not many would have the same level of sort of security procedures that we have. There will be a couple out there that have similar in terms of the Financial Conduct Authority authorization, but not many of them would have the level of sort of security that we have. In all honesty, a lot of the online only companies wouldn't, just because it's too expensive to have it. They're very much about like cheap costs and efficiency. So it's definitely something to look into when you are looking at different companies, making sure they have the right regulations and authorizations.
Great stuff. Now, I've run out of particular questions, but and any more questions on the live chat, then do ask them now. There's a bit of a time lag, 20 something seconds before your questions will appear there. So get your questions in before the end of the show while Rory's still on screen. And while we're waiting for them to appear, if you have any questions, then do you have any final tips for us on any other advantages of being with Smart as well? Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, final tips from myself would just be, make sure you plan ahead of time. Give yourself plenty of time to consider your currency. It's one of the, if not the most important thing after actually obviously finding the dream property. So just making sure you've planned accordingly before that. Get yourself set up with an account. Like I said, there's no obligation to use it, and you're only gaining knowledge from that with the account manager that you're speaking with. And then, yeah, budget, obviously, most important to you. Just making sure that if you are buying a property overseas, that it is affordable, and that you are thinking more about the risk-based approach. If you want to gamble on currency, or there's ways you can do that with stocks and shares and stuff like that, which is the best way to invest in currency rather than sort of speculating on what might happen in terms of a property purchase. It's such a significant amount of money. And then just back on the service, like I said, we're not here just to help with that large one-off transaction. We are very much an account management service to help longer term. We have thousands of clients weekly doing transactions for pension payments, rental payments. It's not just about property purchases, paying bills. If you've got to buy a car, we can send that straight to the dealership. Not limited in terms of what we can do. Any currency exchange requirement we can assist with. And like I said, if you need any help or any questions, pop them in the chat, or if you do open an account, feel free to request myself. You've seen what I look like now, which is quite a nice thing to do. I don't really see many of my clients, so it's always good to let people know what I look like, and I'll be more than happy to assist you going forward.
Brilliant. So I can't see any questions at the moment. So if anybody does have any questions, then you can ask them after the show in the comments below, and we will get an answer for you. And basically, if you haven't got an answer quickly, then just click on the link. Then you can get some advice directly from Rory or one of his colleagues. So that is about all we've got time for this week. We managed to keep the show below an hour, which is really good. It makes it easier for you to scan through afterwards and find the answers to your questions, which I really like. And don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll tell you in a moment who your special guest will be next week. But for now, let's just give Rory a big virtual hug and a kiss. And so, oh no, there's been a question. Whoa, very good.
Mad David, see it pop up.
Yes, Mad David says, is there a minimum amount you need to open an account? There isn't, is there?
Short answer is no. So it's not like a currency wallet or anything like that. So it's just very much like a currency account to access the service. So you don't need to put any minimum amount into the account. Again, if you do use the service for a purchase or something like that, again, you never need to be holding currency with us. The account will remain active, and you can use it as and when. So you send money in, we send money out, and that's it. There's no need to pay us ahead of time and hold pounds or euros with us at any point in time.
Very, very good. And E9 Hugs is a nice one. Thanks, Scats and Rory from Campusol. And yes, and best wishes to everybody in Campusol over in Matharon over there. I'm going to be seeing Sean, Expat in Matharon. That's his YouTube channel. I'll be seeing him and Yogi as well. Yogi's over here in Spain at the moment, and we'll be sharing a curry together very soon. Very much looking forward to that. And Mad David's put a completely blank message there. I presume that was to say thank you. And oh yes, it's a thumbs up. It took a while to appear. And Triple Sec says thanks, Scats. Appreciate the helpful information as always. You're very welcome, mate. And I look forward to seeing your website, your YouTube channel as well. Don't forget to send me that link. Then we can find it. What's it called? So, no more questions. I'll check again just before we go. And time to give Rory a big virtual kiss and a hug and say goodbye for now. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, and hopefully we'll see you again in the not too distant future.
No, certainly. Well, thanks for having me, and I hope everyone found the session useful.
Excellent. Yes, I certainly did. Good. And bye for now.
Bye-bye.
There we go. So wasn't that wonderful and helpful? Of course it was. And of course, as you probably know, there's been a kind of a change in which weeks Chris from Upsticks has been appearing. Normally he's here every fortnight, and this would have been the week that he would have been on. But instead, he is on next week. We've just switched that date, and then he's on the week after as well, hopefully, so to get him back into the schedule. And on those shows, of course, we answer all of your questions about visas and residency and moving your car over and all kinds of things like that. The main feature of next week's show we will announce on the Facebook page and group during the week, because while we already have something lined up, we like to be topical and current. So we're going to decide midweek and let you all know. Now, let's just have a look on the chat. I think people are just saying thank you. And yeah, actually, Stephen, ask your question in the comments below now that Rory's gone, and I'm sure he can get on there and answer that question for you. We did talk about that earlier in the show, about the differences. Smart currency works in a different way because it's more of a personalized service, really, and you can fix your exchange rate. But yeah, you need to talk to Rory about that, I think. So ask in the comments below, or just click on the link to start an account with Smart, and you can find out all about it. As I said, there's no obligation to use it. Our next week's show, of course, we'll be having our regular Ask Us Anything and frequently asked questions segments with Chris, plus the very popular argument that Chris and I have, although it's never really an argument, it's just a good laugh about something important or hilarious or both. It's usually something very current. You can ask questions in advance on the Facebook page or the Facebook group, and you will be answered. Make sure you like and follow the page and the group. It's worth being a part of them both. One's called, the private group is called the Facebook Community, and the page is just called U2 Spain. And so it's worth doing that for both of them. There are differences. And thank you to all of you for joining us live and leaving comments and hitting the like button and supporting us with donations and memberships. There's still time to get onto the link there, or if you missed it, there's a super link just below the video description. There's quite a long video description to this one today, but underneath that it says use this super link, and that's for getting in touch with me, or for finding any of the links that you need to support U2 Spain. And that's all very much appreciated. I will see you either on the midweek video at 6 o'clock Spanish time on Wednesdays, or live next Saturday morning, 10 o'clock Spanish time. And look out for the YouTube shorts, which can appear at any time, although I do try and get one out on Friday afternoons, just like on the Still Alive channel that I used to do. The Still Alive channel is still there, and you can still look back at all of the old videos that were on there, all of the old vlogs. But now I'm doing shorter vlogs, and I'm keeping them on U2 Spain, so it's all in the one place. Just makes it easier to administer the whole thing. So thank you all for this week. Somebody pass around the currency exchange cookies, and peace and love, or peas and fluff. I keep forgetting to say peas and fluff. It's just like two little rabbits. And here's one final message from all of the voices in my head here at U2 Spain. And see you very soon.
Wave goodbye, lads. Bye. Goodbye. Toodaloo. Peace and love. Peas and fluff. Oi, oi. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. One more cosmic dance? All right, then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver. Let's dance.